You know, sometimes I think it's better just to set yourself up in one place and see what comes, and just let the birds naturally come to you. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I've set myself up here in one spot, one location. I'm going to be here for a good few hours, probably the entire day. There is some beautiful berries on the trees at the moment in this park. And I think I mentioned before in a community post, there do seem to be a lot of berries on the trees this year, which I know other people have agreed with. So what I'm really after today is some birds feeding on those berries. You can hear quite a few birds, blackbirds, and I just heard a missel thrush, well, a couple of missel thrushes, which is fantastic. So this spot, it's not completely random. I came a couple of days ago just to do a little bit of a recce, and there was quite a few birds in this area, particularly the thrush family. So there was blackbirds, there was song thrush, which I love song thrush, and a few missel thrushes, and some redwings flew over, which I'll talk about a bit later in the video. And what I wanted to do was just find a spot which was a little bit secluded, more away from the footpaths, where I could get a bit of cover, but I just had a feeling that maybe I'd get more birds to land. I'm underneath the tree, and then we've got a big, well, there's a couple of conifers nearby as well, and it's just kind of more secluded. I'm slackening everything off on the head. This is a fluid head. And the reason for that is because I don't know what I'm going to be shooting. I mean, I might not get anything today, and I think I'll just upload it anyway because it's real life. I could be shooting in any direction, a bird could land, and I just have to get on it really, really quickly. So for that reason, I'm going to slacken off the tilt and the pan so I can just move much quicker. Now, you're sacrificing a little bit of stability by doing it, but you know, it swings and roundabouts, so you have to decide what is the most important. When I'm not shooting, I'm going to lock it, I'm going to lock the tilt. The pan's okay because it's level, so it shouldn't move. Now, the other thing is, as well, there's some berries out there. Not sure what these pink berries are, but then it looks like rowan a little further back. If anything comes to feed on those berries, I've got a pretty clear view of it, but I've still got a little bit of cover around me. So with that in mind, I'm just going to swing the camera around a bit, because if you're expecting something, particularly something you think might be really photogenic, then it's a good idea to get your camera set up on that just in case. I don't know if you can, oh yeah, here's a tip, always keep your camera locked when you're not holding it. I'm going to turn the camera around to see if you can. If you know what that is, tell me, because at the moment I have no idea, unless it's a really weird call of a nuthatch. I think it was the sound of a ball being chewed by a dog. So. I can just see the sun now, the rays coming through some of these trees. But there's so many trees over there that it does take a while for the sun to get up. Right, I'm going to change tack now because I'm not having any success here, to be honest. I've been here about 2 hours now. Heard quite a few birds, definitely some missel thrushes around. I'm going to set up just a little bit further away because there's a couple of trees and one which is full of berries and close to the footpath. It's got really nice blue sky behind it. Now, there's been a few little birds flitting around, but I did see a male blackbird up there actually feeding on the berries. And what I like is it's very, very open with the sun behind me, so it's very simple, very consistent lighting, blue sky behind it, photogenically very good. I'm going to take the camera, keep it on the tripod, get set up. Right, okay, no idea if this is going to work, and it's getting busier all the time. But the reason I'm doing this is because I saw a blackbird in there eating those berries. And if you've seen it once, you know, I think there's a fair chance it might happen again, and also a few other birds flitting around this area. So the plan is, I've put myself kind of under this tree and with two smaller trees in front of me, so I haven't got like a completely clear view of what looks like a rowan tree. If I step further out I'd have a clearer view, but then I'd be more obvious, so I'm just a little bit more concealed here, and I think sometimes that can help. Just having a bit of cover between you and the bird might make it feel a bit more confident. And then the plan is that if I can't get a clear view, I'm just going to slowly move myself out into position really slowly to hopefully get some shots. One of the things I've noticed about birds feeding on berries is that they can be quite sneaky. It's almost like they don't want to be seen. So you think it's really obvious if there's a bird in there and it's feeding, but it's not always the case. You know, they can hide themselves quite well, particularly if they're going further into the centre, closer to the centre of the tree. So the best thing to do really is not just to just walk past. You can sometimes miss those birds just walking past. The best thing to do is stop, even, you know, if it's just for 30 seconds or something, and just look for movement, just look for any movement in the branches. A red kite just flew over. Heard a blackbird. You only need one. Is that from a film? No, it's like there can be only one. Highlander, slightly different. But yeah, I say that sometimes. You only need one opportunity. If you do everything right and you get the shot, you've done it. Some beautiful robin song. Lovely robin song now. And this just shows the reality of wildlife bird photography. And there's a lot more people coming. You might hear me complaining about people sometimes, which I really shouldn't. And there was a missel thrush landed in the tree behind me. I just couldn't see it. But it's given me confidence, because these missel thrushes in particular are flying through. Been back and forth a couple of times. It's just given me confidence to think that maybe just at least one of them will drop into that tree and start munching. You only need one. Missel thrush. Missel thrush. There was two flew in, then one flew out into the conifer tree, and one just flew back lower down. There's activity here, you know, in this little spot. All of a sudden there was just a flurry of activity, and there was a nuthatch, and then there was a chaffinch. It's so hard when it's sort of very clustered environment. So I was thinking I was going to move on and try something different, but I don't know, I feel like I should maybe stick it out a little bit longer because of these missel thrushes. Sometimes it's just a case of being in exactly the right spot, and like a lot of things, that just comes from knowledge and time and learning, and also just waiting, just being patient. I'm not quite sure what to title this video. Maybe hopeful photography, or standing by a footpath waiting for a blackbird to eat berries. I don't think I'd get many clicks. Quick break for lunch, and I was back at my post to try again. So what's been happening, some of these birds, particularly the missel thrushes, they've been stopping in this tree with berries, but just not for long, just really briefly. And I don't have time to get into position to get a clear view. So what I've done, I've moved into position on the other side, so I'm kind of square onto this tree so I can get a really good view now. And if anything drops in, hope for those missel thrushes, even if it's just very briefly, I should be able to get a shot. I am looking upwards at the moment, so I'm using the screen. I've got the screen angled so it's more comfortable. If it's lower down, I'll probably use a viewfinder because I prefer that, but if it's higher up, then I'll use the screen. Wow. Well, that just confirms the sneakiness that I was talking about of some of these birds. Male blackbird flew in from this conifer next to me, straight in, couldn't get a clear view, started feeding, couldn't get a clear view. Then there was a female came in as well. I think they fed in like 2 different spots, couldn't get a clear view at any point. And then straight back out into the tree. It's like they're nipping in to get some berries and then going straight back out into that cover. This is where you need to try really hard to stay focused. I've been here since 8 o'clock this morning. I'm starting to feel quite tired. It's really easy to lose concentration, but you don't want all that effort, all that time to go to waste. You only need one good opportunity and a good place, and if you get those pictures, it's going to make it all worthwhile. So when you start to feel tired, just try and dig in, keep paying attention, and you might just get that shot. I hear a rustle of branches behind me, I turn round and there's a grey squirrel. I know it's not everybody's favourite subject, but I do think they're very photogenic. The light here is just absolutely beautiful. Soft sunlight that I'm shooting into, and it's backlighting that squirrel and its fur. The redwing is one of our winter visitors that flies over to the UK, usually in October, from colder climates such as Scandinavia and Iceland, and after a long journey they like to fuel up on berries such as rowan and hawthorn. Wow. Wow. Whew. That was exciting. That was that kind of made the last 6 hours feel worth it. I heard a mizzle thrush, and it was a bit of a commotion. I think a mizzle thrush flew in and I was trying to get on it, and then it was just suddenly a lot of commotion of noise, the mizzle thrush and something else, and then I looked and I could see a redwing, and there was a redwing up there in the tree with the berries. Managed to get the camera on it. Again, it's really hard to get a clear view, but I could get a reasonable view, and every now and again it would turn its face. I just about see its head. I think it's very satisfying when you've chosen to do something, you have a reason why, and you believe in it, you stick with it, and I've actually got something. But just that bit of extra patience sometimes can make all the difference. I did honestly probably didn't expect a redwing to land in this tree. I thought that would be an absolute bonus, and it was. Now I know this is not the best photo of a redwing, but it's really the best I could do today. I have had some success in the past at a local nature reserve where I managed to photograph them feeding on hawthorn berries in some really nice light. It definitely makes it a bit easier later in the autumn or even into winter when most of those leaves will be gone off the trees and you can get a clearer view. And I also photographed a redwing with a fieldfare where they were both hopping on the grass searching for worms. This is another food source they'll sometimes like. I was filming it, doing some video on the camera, and all of a sudden I just heard the mizzle thrush and the redwing just disappeared, so I can assume the mizzle thrush chased it off, which they often do. The mizzle thrushes can be very aggressive. When they find a tree with berries that they like, they'll sometimes kind of try and hold on to that tree and almost like fight everything else off. Everything else that comes in, they'll fight it off. Very, very aggressive. Well, this is definitely not what I usually do. If I stay in one place, it's usually a very specific setup and something I think is going to be pretty reliable. And I basically moved about 50 yards today in 8 hours. I'm really happy to get that redwing, and I feel like I learned something today just from staying in one spot, particularly with the blackbirds, because I noticed a few of them were actually taking the berries away, flying out of the tree with the berries into that conifer. Just that flight path, which is fairly regular, made me think I might be able to get some flight shots if I had the right conditions. So who knows, maybe I'll get a chance to do that. Maybe I'll get a chance to photograph the mizzle thrushes here, which I would really, really like to get. If you like this style of video, click this video that's up on the screen. Thanks for watching, I'll see you next time.